being a part of this grind culture that's so important to most men. Until one day I leaned over a Jeep of all things. It was just an inspection. And as I leaned over to look at the belt, my neck got stuck and I heard it and I couldn't move my fingers, I couldn't move my hands, and I immediately had severe nerve damage. The long-term stress that I put on my body eventually made it so there was an actual physical break in my system. My whole life, I was able to hear so many voices in my head, different aspects coming at me, telling me I wasn't good enough, telling me I sucked, and so many different voices too. 6 months in, I went for that run, started bawling my eyes out, ask myself while I'm running, like, hey man, why are you crying? What's going on here? It's like, and on that run, I finally realized I've always been worthy. It's always been inside of me. I just chose not to accept it.
Welcome to the High Performance Human Podcast, where high achievers learn to master themselves, not just their success. I'm Creighton Bertrand, a certified high performance coach, here to share practical tools to rewire your habits and mindset. If you're ready to move beyond good enough and step into real transformation, you're in the right place. Let's get to work.
What do you do when life looks perfect on the outside, but inside you're breaking down? And that's the story that we dive in today. My guest is Brett Rivero, a men's coach, founder of the BRC Brotherhood, and a man who knows firsthand what it means to hit rock bottom and fight back. Years ago, Brett had the cars, the house, the family, the hustle, but the grind culture that he thought was making him strong was actually destroying him. It took a literal break in his spine to wake him up to a deeper truth. The real battle isn't out there, it's inside. And since then, Brett has dedicated his life to helping men strip away the noise, confront the stories that hold them back, and build lives rooted in presence, self-worth, and love. In this conversation, we talk about the suck of sitting still with your thoughts, the temptation to use anger as fuel, the gift hidden in the pain, and how small, consistent choices create lasting change. So if you've ever felt like you're grinding yourself into the ground, if you've been haunted by old stories, or if you've struggled to love yourself while still trying to lead your family well, this one is just for you. All right, Brett. Well, I'm so excited to have you in the show. Thank you for taking some time today to be with me and some of my fellow listeners here. I want to start with really kind of getting deep into stuff. I know you're over on the East Coast, and I know you've been coaching men for a while. What kind of got you into wanting to help men kind of in the first place?
Yeah, so it's a very intriguing story. I appreciate you bringing that up. And so 12 years ago, when you looked from the exterior, on the surface, everything looked perfect. So we had a house on the water. We had a rental property. It was doing very well. I had 5 race cars, beautiful family.
You had race cars?
So I had 5, 3 of them not running, 2 of them running, 3 of them projects. Happy, healthy family. Thank God, beautiful, loving wife. And I would literally wake up at 5 o'clock. I would work out. I would then go work on cars because I was a mechanic. And I also run the shop. So I'd manage the guys and still work on the cars. Leave work, I would go work on the rental property almost every night, or go work on the cars and then drink about 5 to 7 beers every single night, rinse and repeat, on and on and on, until one day I leaned over a Jeep of all things. It was just an inspection. And as I leaned over to look at the belt, my neck got stuck and I heard it. And as that happened, C5 and C6 actually went in different directions. And I couldn't move my fingers, I couldn't move my hands, and I immediately had severe nerve damage.
The hood fell on you?
Nope. No, it was just what I was able to eventually understand is that the long-term stress that I put on my body, and also the long-term stress that I put on my nervous system from the internal dichotomy I had created, eventually made it so there was an actual physical break in my system. Whoa. And so literally just leaning over to look at and stretch to get to a belt is what caused it. But that was just what actually happened. The cause was 5 straight years of, not taking care of myself and working myself into the ground, being a part of this grind culture that's so important to most men. So when that happened, right, they tell you what you can do. Hey, look, we can put rods and pins.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. You'll become healthy, all this jazz. And I was like, no, something inside of me, some deep voice that I hadn't listened to in a long time said, there's no fucking way you're going to allow them to do that.
Hmm.
You created this, you can fix it. Now we need to figure out why this happened.
Hmm.
So instead of working out every morning, I woke up at 4:30 and I would sit with my thoughts every morning for 2 hours. I would literally watch my thoughts, what they were telling me, and what emotions pulled when my thoughts came through.
And where
What
did
I
you
was
come up with this idea to sit with your thoughts? Why not push yourself more? Like I love that. I think
because it
we're
didn't
very sim
work.
yeah.
It
But
didn't
but
work. I
but why try sitting? Because I think
uh
sitting is the hardest thing, especially when you're going up against grind culture of
correct.
like, oh, do more, try harder, all these
Yes.
things. Like
Yeah.
the thing that we're running from is the stillness. And the stillness is the scariest thing, I think, for most men, is they think they
Precisely.
need to do in order to be, in order to achieve.
Mhm.
So what was it? Because mine was from studying all these things and realizing this was the one thing that I was the most afraid of.
Mm.
And so I attacked it from that standpoint. So, but I'm curious for you, when you came to that, why did you want to try stillness?
Well, I've always been able to pick up on certain things that I thought were a little bit strange. Like I've always been to see connections that I never understood, why someone acted a certain way, why
Mm,
something happened in a certain pattern. And what it constantly led me back to, with honestly, without me understanding it at first, was everything that I need is already inside of me. And if I can be just with myself, all of the external reality can completely change.
mm,
And so, I was consistently trying to change and manipulate the outside world, and it
right.
just never worked.
Yeah.
And so finally, I was like, well, that didn't work. I need to create a very direct, huge shift. What's the easiest one that I can control? Oh, how I interact with my thoughts. Okay, well, that's why I'm going to sit here.
Yeah. But why did you believe that changing your thoughts would change the reality?
Because my whole life I was able to hear so many voices in my head, literally so many different aspects coming at me, telling me I wasn't good enough,
Mm,
telling me I sucked, and so many different voices too. And so, my thought process was, well, if I can control that thing,
mm.
that should change everything.
Wow, I wish I was as smart as you were. I never
Man,
realized
I
that.
don't know if it was smart. I think it was
Desperate. What?
desperate.
Yeah, but at least you, I mean, my background as an engineer, I'm really good at problem solve pattern and all this stuff, but I didn't go to the root. I started at the symptoms and kind of worked backwards. Mine was like, okay, I think there's something wrong with my brain. My brain's broken. What is
Mm,
it in our brain that makes us feel? Let me go to the chemistry of what are the different neurotransmitters, what are the hormones that make you. And I kept going
interesting.
backwards, reluctantly going to the mindset, the internal thoughts. I started external, and those I started flipping switches until it finally got me to the internal. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Man, we did it backwards. That is
Yeah.
so cool. Because eventually that's what I did. I started studying the science, but at first it
Mm,
was literally like, okay, the mind is this thing. And if it's the one thing that I can try to make into what I need it to be, how would I ever do that? I was
mm,
like, oh, I can have direct relationship with my thoughts.
yeah.
And if I can have direct relationship with my thoughts, and so then that little spark started me very interested in Buddhism, which
Yeah.
Buddhism, most people see as a religion. I see it as a science of the mind because if you look back, they were literally trying to understand how the mind worked. And they would have amazing discussions and actually debates. They would literally have debates for hours on how the mind would work. And so that was that next puzzle piece. And so when I realized, holy shit, these thoughts that I have that are so negative and are constantly putting me down and just in my perspective trying to kill me are mine. Where do they come from?
Yeah.
Wait, if I know that they're mine, can I change them? And so that process led me to actually watch them and shift them and go, okay, well, if that's what my mind is telling me, well, Brett, you're not good enough. You don't deserve happiness. Where did that come from? Oh, that came from my childhood and also me never feeling like I was worthy of anything.
Mm.
Great. Well, can I flip a switch on that and then start to tell myself I am worthy and I do deserve a happy life? What are the actions I would take in the external reality to align with that?
It
And
sounds so
so
simple.
It's simple. I have this huge theory: simple, not easy.
Always.
It's always everything that we really need to do is very simple, but it is fucking so hard. It is
Yeah.
so hard. But I think that's the reason for it. It's supposed to be difficult because if it
Yeah.
was just something we naturally happen, like if I never broke my spine, I would be dead,
Yeah.
100%. Because I would have driven too fast in a car, I would have drank too much, I would have done very unintelligent things. That's what would have happened. So the most difficult thing that ever happened to me was one of the biggest gifts I was ever given.
Always, always. I mean, look at you're married, you have kid, like it's the same thing. Like I always tell people, like go in your life, find the things that are the most amazing moments that you've ever had. I guarantee they were unplanned, they were unpredictable, they were things you didn't control. And yet we literally have manipulated ourselves about I want to control, I want to know. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like nothing good in life comes from it
Uh,
being simple
nope.
or known. So yeah. Wow, that's so fascinating. So how long ago was it that you broke your spine and you started to do your what do you call that? Do you call it meditation? What's your quote unquote definition of stillness?
So it's very intriguing to me. I eventually started to read tons of books, and that's where I got to where I am now. So that was 12 years ago, and I started
Oh
reading a
wow.
lot of Buddhist philosophy. I started to read a lot of yogic philosophy, where, again, for me, it wasn't about the religion. It was actually about the science of the mind and trying to understand the mind from ancient science and modern science. And so, then I started to actually read neuroscience. I started to understand quantum physics. And I
Yeah.
just slowly tied all these things together. And that's what gave me the ability to go, wait a minute. If this is what I can do, I can change anything. And if I can change anything, I've just been given the biggest gift
Yeah.
that the universe and God can ever give you. I must start sharing this. And so I healed my spine completely. I have the MRI from before and afterwards. Can't even tell that anything happened to me in the afterwards MRI.
Hmm.
Went for a run one day, was running about 3.5 miles, just decided to keep running. It started pouring down rain. I started bawling my eyes out. Didn't even know why.
Far into your meditation and stillness was this?
So this was actually 6 months in. So
Okay.
6 months in of the meditation. And so when people say meditation, in my perspective, right now it's so convoluted because one of the best ways that you can stop people from being empowered, is to not give them the tools.
Hmm.
So, in my perspective, meditation has become this convoluted thing that people think is very difficult. Meditation is simply taking your mind and being able to put it onto one place.
Hmm.
And so I studied with a Tibetan Buddhist meditation teacher for a very long time. And he helped me realize, like, Brett, we just want our minds to sit in one place. What you do with it after that is up to you. But if you can do that, your whole reality shifts. And so I teach my clients, are like, Brett, I don't know how to meditate. I never have. No, no problem. All we're going to do is simply focus our mind in one place. And so 6 months in, I went for that run, started bawling my eyes out, ask myself while I'm running, like, hey, man, why are you crying? What's going on here? And it's like, I finally realized I was worthy the whole time of
Mm.
everything that I had ever been given.
Whoa.
Why I was always able to build amazing groups around me and then I would destroy them. Why I was given opportunities to go for a full ride to play hockey in prep school when I wasn't that good. I'm not that big, right? Tons and tons of opportunities always around me. I never felt worthy of them. And on that run, I finally realized I've always been worthy. It's always been inside of me. I just chose not to accept it.
Hmm. Wow. Let's fast forward from it. Cool. Because I think this would be interesting to hear. You had this breakthrough from a breakdown. Did that stick? As soon as you had this epiphany, this crying run of realizing, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is the things, did that stay permanent?
It was consistent work.
Yeah.
So, I don't believe in the grind culture, like, oh, well, then I just did it until I couldn't, and all this nonsense. No, it's internal discipline. I had to continually pay attention to my thoughts and my words and my emotions. And I still lashed out. I still lost my shit. I still wasn't able to control myself 24/7. But what I did see, you've seen this. You've seen the exponential curve. At first, it is very hard and it doesn't look like we're gaining traction. Where if you're on a linear curve, you're slowly gaining traction and it's working. I don't think the growth journey has anything to do with a linear curve.
Yeah.
You
I don't
literally have to
I don't
go
think
ahead.
anything in life that's worth it. Like, I mean, imagine going back to like me dating my wife. I didn't know when we were going to get married and have kids and fight and almost get a divorce. But it's just like, it's one of those that you commit, you decide, and it's just tick, 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 tick until it takes off. And you don't know when.
Exactly.
And again, if you
Nope.
did, going back to what we were talking about, of like, if you knew when and how, it wouldn't even be exciting. I mean, your brain wouldn't give you the dopamine. It wouldn't give you the reward that you're actually
Mhm.
seeking.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so, when we're on this exponential curve, the consistency and the internal discipline, not the external grind and pushing ourselves and burning out, that's what actually makes it happen. And when you go on that path, you're going to have higher highs and a little bit higher lows.
Mhm.
That's the journey, man. And then understanding that every time you win, yes, beautiful, you won. That's fantastic. Every time you lose, you learned. And what did you learn? Are you objective enough in your mind to go, shit, I just drank again and I acted like an asshole to my wife? Okay, understood. Did you apologize? Yes, you apologized. Okay, why did you do that? Well, in that moment, I was remembering when I was 18 and I had a very frustrating situation. It just came over my mind. I allowed those old emotions to take me over. Was it a 2 week time period? No, it was one night. Great job. Move forward.
Right. I mean, again, it sounds so simple, but simple is always the hardest, exercise, diet, all these other things that we're saying, just do the thing.
Yep. And you
But
have to watch your mind, man. That's the biggest thing is, are you willing to be objective enough in your mind that you're not going to beat the shit out of yourself when you make mistakes? So many men I work with, they get on the path, they do well for 3 to 6 months, they fall off and they
yeah,
just destroy themselves. And they're like, Brett, I this. And what I do is I capture screenshots. No problem. Hey, John, do you remember when 6 months ago? Yeah. How far ahead of you are you from there? Wow. I've made a lot of progress. Exactly, you have. So it's okay. Good job. What did we learn?
yeah. I mean, it's so easy for us to focus on what isn't rather than what was. I think, and I'd be curious your ideas on this. I mean, I'm pretty spiritual, so going back to the Bible talks about, Adam and Eve, the original sin, and what did they do is they hid from God after they ate the
Mm,
forbidden fruit. That I think one of the demise of man is we commit sin, we do bad things, and then what do is we try to hide from it. And by hiding from it, we're not allowing ourselves to grow and improve. We're staying in the shame and the guilt and the negative, neurochemicals that's going to prevent us from trying. So going back to your point of what you're talking about, like I think so many men do these things and they don't want to be accountable for it. It's so much easier to just put your head in the sand being like, no, it's okay, or I'm not going to look in the mirror. I'm not going to reflect like you were doing of sitting and being still is an
mhm.
opportunity for you just to look at yourself in the mirror, not looking at yourself in the mirror of a judgment, you're terrible, but just looking in the mirror of like, hey, your hair's brown and you have gray facial hair and you
Mhm.
look like this. It's not right. It's not wrong. It just is. Now, based upon that, what do you want to do?
Yes, precisely. So dichotomy is what we create, and it is a disease in my perspective. We allow ourselves to create dichotomy internally instead of being objective. Having the ability to step outside of ourselves is one of the biggest skills that we can develop. Just the ability to go, okay, I did an action. Great. Let me look at this from a third party perspective. It's not me. I don't feel the emotions. I'm just going to try it for 2 seconds. Well, that sucks. Oh, great. Yeah, it does suck. It's okay though. And so I think being able to go from dichotomy where there's constant inner turmoil to then harmony and unity of like, yeah, I'm a whole human being. I'm going to make mistakes. That's a part of this journey. You know, a really, really big aspect that I've tried to focus on is called system protection. We constantly are trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to stay safe. And one of the ways we do that is actually beating ourselves up. Because if we
Yeah.
beat ourselves up, the system think that, oh, well, if you beat yourself up, you won't do it again. But it's the opposite because you know this. It actually wires the brain to do it again, keeps feeding the chemicals, and then that neural pathway gets stronger. And so, although our system is trying to protect itself, it does the opposite. And when I was able to understand this information, it made it so much easier for me to be objective with myself and go, oh, you're a human being. You're living a human experience. That is okay. What is your next step?
What would you say to the person that hears this? It sounds like for you, you read it and you understood it, so you were able to apply it. Am I
Mhm.
understanding that correctly?
So exactly. So read it and then tried it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest precepts. It's like, okay, I constantly take in information from books. That's how I learn. But
Mhm.
then I try it in real life. I think the universe is one of our best learning grounds if we're open to going, oh shit, this is going to be hard and I'm going to fail a lot.
Right. Like you do in everything. Like I love to tie people back to, hey, there was a time where you used to crap your pants every single day
Yep.
and you were okay with it,
Brilliant. Well done.
right? There was a
Yes.
time where you couldn't even walk, you couldn't even feed yourself food. And
Yep.
you didn't let the outcome of that determine your reality. You said, okay, cool. I want to eat. I want to stop pooping my pants. I'm going to keep trying until I figure it out. You didn't
Hmm.
let the outcome define who you are. I didn't
Hmm.
stop pooping my pants today. Therefore, I'm someone I poop my pants. You're like, no, I didn't poop my pants today. I'm going to try again.
Hmm.
So for that person, do you have anything that we could say to that person that hasn't read the books and they haven't done it? Like, how could we help them to implement this? Or,
Yeah,
yeah,
this is really good. And it's kind of difficult for people to hear is when people come to me and they say, Brett, I'd really like to know what's the one thing I can do. I beat myself up all the time and I'm
yeah.
struggling to implement change. I say, fantastic. Are you dead? Are you dead? No, no.
Inside, yes.
Like, Brett, that's a stupid question. Why are you asking me if I'm dead? Well, if you're not dead, then you have another chance
Mm,
and you've given yourself another chance. That's the key, right? People need to have the authority to help themselves.
mm,
We are in a society that takes people's authority to help themselves away.
mm.
And so when you start to give people that authority, Brett, that's a stupid question. Why are you asking me if I'm dead? Well, because are you? Well, no, I'm not. I already told you that. Excellent. So you have another chance to change and you are in control of that. Oh, shit, I am in control of that. Yes, you are. So that means that your past doesn't define you because you have another day to try to create change. And so for that man or that person, that's like, it is really hard to implement right now. I ask them, well, what's your next best plan?
Mm.
Because if you're going to keep doing the same thing over, you're going to get the same results. And that's okay. But that is a choice as well.
Yes. 100%. I love that. I love to bring people face to face with reality of like, you're choosing this. You just start lying to yourself and saying that I'm not choosing this. So let's get honest and be like, cool, by you not agreeing or wanting to change, you're choosing the familiar past. You're choosing this, which is fine, but don't be mad at yourself when you do the same thing and get the same result over and over and over.
Precisely that. Don't be mad at yourself is key because people automatically think they have to be mad at themselves for that.
It's a cop
But
out,
it
realistically.
it is. And once you accept the fact that I'm making the choice, there's no point in being mad at yourself. Like
Yeah.
literally, it's just like, oh, it is what it is. And also I found helping people know like, hey, the reason that you just went out and you went to the casino when you said you're not gambling anymore and got drunk when you said you're not drinking anymore, where's that come from? What were you feeling? Well, I was feeling actually frustrated about this. Okay, great. Well, where does that come from? Man, if I'm honest, I was feeling really upset about something that happened when I was a kid. Okay, great. Where's that come from? Well, when I was 5, my mom did this. It really upset me. I've never dealt with it. It caused me to have tremendous pain now. Okay, great. So let's look at this from an objective perspective. You're trying to keep yourself safe so you don't have to live in that past memory, which is very painful. And so you went out and made choices. So you're actually trying to help yourself. So it's okay. And what I found is when you help people see in really shitty choices they're making and shitty choices that I have made,
Right.
that I was actually trying to help myself in some way, it just relieved this weight from my shoulders.
Yeah. 100%. That's so good. And it's so true that when you can see it for what it is, then I feel like that's when you can detach from it. But we're all just so attached to these stories, these beliefs of that's me, I need this. And
Yeah, and
again,
that's
that's a choice.
exactly. And that's the easier way. It's way
Yeah.
easier to stay
Well,
attached to your stories.
I would say easier, yes, because it's familiar, not
Hmm.
necessarily easy. Because really, both it takes the same amount of energy to choose the past as it does to choose a new future. It's
Hmm.
just one so much more familiar, and so it feels like it's quote unquote safer. But going
Hmm.
back to our stories of like It's not actually safer. It's killing you more than going after this thing that's unknown because of the fear that's associated. Well, what's on the other side? Is it going to work? Who am I going to be? How am I going to feel?
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary. But at least even if I do the negative, bad thing, even though it's a terrible feeling, it's familiar. I know what that feeling is of being a disappointment. I know what the feeling is of feeling like I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people
Yeah.
that are stuck in those toxic relationships. We literally are stuck in toxic relationships with ourselves. Like from the outside, people are like, why don't you just leave that person? Like, oh no, because he doesn't mean it. He's really nice.
Yep.
Loves me.
Yeah. Yep. It's so intriguing because that relationship that we have with ourselves, in my perspective, is the most important one.
Oh, I mean, I would say spiritually first, but then yes, I would agree 100%. So
Yeah.
let me ask you with all this, do you feel like there's still an emotion or some sort of mental pattern that you still run into that kicks your butt from time to time, even now,
A
doing all
a
this?
100%. But I laugh about it now. That's the
Mm,
fun part. It's just, it's like when you know the programming of the system.
mm,
Yeah, you're gonna let it get to you every once in a while. Because again, I'm still a human being. I chose for halfway through this path, right? So let's say 6 years ago, I chose to be a monk in the real world with my family, with still working a regular job where I did not speak for a month, a vow of silence while doing all that stuff.
mm,
And afterwards, I was like, okay, you can go and live in the mountains if you want to. That's your choice. Go be a monk. But if you want to take the harder path, live in the real world and try to create change straight up. And so that's what I did. I chose at that point to still be a human being. And a human being comes with a human experience, which comes with emotions.
mm.
So there's still times where my wife will do something. And, after the fifth time of us trying to like, okay, we're not seeing eye to eye. Let's go ahead and detach here. I feel the emotions come on. Fuck, why is this happening? Right. And then it's just I'm still a human. This is hilarious. Do you know? Because what else is there to do at this point? When we start to understand that our emotions are actually just signals for us to fully be ourselves, they're not here to hurt us. They're not here to tell us who we are or what we're supposed to do. They're just signals so we can fully understand what our experience is on this planet. Well, then when they happen, we can bring objectivity to them and sometimes even laugh about them. Even when they're happening to me, somebody cuts me off and it's been a long day and this happened in the morning and I was late and somebody cut me off. I go, man, why do you have to? Oh my gosh, that's hilarious, Brett. You really thought that that was important?
Yeah, and we do. And again, I think a lot of it too is bringing it always self. What's about, I can't believe they did that to me. Do they not know who I am? I'm important. I am. And this is where I
Yep.
love, being spiritual. Like when we're making it selfish about I am instead of he is, no
Mhm.
wonder why we're going to be miserable.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And so I had this in my office down in my basement. I had for the longest time, it says, I got this was written on my wall. And like a few years ago, I changed it. God's got this. And it was
wow.
amazing how big of a shift it was. It's because for me personally, in my faith, I believe the universe and God are one. That's just how I view it. And I believe that if we can consistently know that we are being guided and that there's something bigger than us, it allows us to be so much freer because then we can act in a way of, oh, wow, this really hard thing just happened. That's for a purpose. Beautiful. It's for a purpose. What did I learn from it? Good. It helped me be me more. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
And so it was a huge shift that I had where I was like, wow, all of this is orchestrated in a beautiful way. And everything that's supposed to happen, even if I die tomorrow, is supposed to happen. So let me just try to enjoy that and play this fun game.
Yeah. What I've realized is because I've gone through this so many times, like, well, what if God's not real? What if the stuff in the Bible is fake and all this? Like, what am I losing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
even if I was wrong, I'm going to be a better person. I
Yep.
can tell you, and I'm sure you and I could talk about this all day from the scientific standpoint of if you're serving others, you're going to be given oxytocin, you're going to give dopamine, you're going to be given all these good molecules. Whereas if you're so self-centered and you're always doing stuff for yourself, you're not going to have the same feeling and experience through life. So even if it's wrong, which I don't see how it could be wrong, because if you do it all, you're going to have such a fulfilled, like we talk about purpose fulfillment, like
Mm-hmm.
purpose and fulfillment, at least I believe, and I'd like to get your take. Like, I think it's a service towards others. It's not about
Mm,
me, it's about we, because that's when we have the most fulfillment in our life. But if we're only just serving ourselves, like then it's like, well, what do I feel like doing? And in the morning, I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like being nice to my kids. I don't feel like all these things. But if
mhm,
I can separate from self and being like, who am I doing this for? Oh, I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for, my clients. I want to inspire other people. That's what pulls me out of the way of myself. So
mm.
for you, what do you define as, someone's purpose?
So it's very interesting. I heard this quote from the Dalai Lama, and it really messed with me for a while. And this is supposed to be a highly realized spiritual being that constantly gives to others, and has said, "I'm the most selfish person that you'll ever know,
Hmm.
because I am constantly trying to help everyone around me, and I know that that's what brings me fulfillment and peace."
Yeah.
And so, for me, I have a theory that we're in this interesting loop of where the only way to create real change is by going internally.
Okay.
The only way to create fulfillment and true purpose is to help others. And so then the more you help others, the more that you understand yourself, the more that you can be in unity with yourself and harmony. But then the more you understand yourself, the more that you can help others and be of service. And so after I broke my spine, after I realized the gifts I was given, after I realized how much God gave to me to help others, that's when I knew I had to. It's not like a maybe, Brett. No, you have to help people. If you were given so many gifts to understand the human experience, you have to help people. And so there's no question of whether or not am I supposed to do this. There's no question in when I see somebody and they appear to be downtrodden, their shoulders are down, their chin is down, they have a droop in their face. Hey, how are you? How's your day going? I don't have like a maybe should I do this? No, I have to. I have to because if I was given so many gifts, then they must be shared and I must give back. And so when people say that they are depressed, right? And they are really deeply unhappy, I feel that the best way that we can start to create switches in our brains to get out of that, go help somebody in some way. Go for a walk. Go smile at somebody. Go hold the door for somebody. Go volunteer somewhere. You're going to immediately start to shift how you feel. It's going to make you feel better about yourself. Someone's going to smile at you. And then you're going to create a totally new pattern.
I mean, there's studies that prove this. Like one of the best things for people that are depressed is to go out and help someone else. Because then the benefit of that is you start to recognize that you have worth, and helping someone else is going to give you a flood of chemicals that are going to make you actually feel good. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God created us perfectly. And going back to what you're saying of like, I think the truest act of giving to others is to be selfless, right? Like by
Mm-hmm.
me, when my wife yells at me or we're having a discussion, the selfish thing to do is, well, what do I feel like? What do I want? I'm going to try to instill. But love is about taking what you selfishly want to do and giving that up for the betterment. And I mean, I think that's literally what Jesus did for us. Like he
Mm-hmm.
sacrificed himself for the good. Something that was so heinous could become something that was so beautiful. And I think that that's something that's hard. And I'm always trying to remind myself of like, okay, Creighton, am I doing it for me or am I doing it for he? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just constantly, anything that comes around, okay, what are you choosing? Are you choosing love or are you choosing judgment? Are you
Mm-hmm.
choosing fear or are you choosing faith? Like, I love, like, you're talking about the dichotomy, always going, well, what am I choosing and what do I really want?
Mm-hmm.
And then separating myself, separating my ego of like, no, Creighton, like going to what you're talking about. My story in the past is this is who I've always been. This is how it's always been. Like, I need
Mm-hmm.
that. And then going to your story of like laughing, like, oh, that's so funny. That's so silly. I understand that you want your passy, you little baby. You just want your passy because it makes you feel good, like a little baby with a pacifier. You just want your
Mm-hmm.
passy to feel good. But it's time to grow if you're ready to choose that.